honors God and secures righteousness for man. God put down righteousness in Abraham's account to his credit. His faith counted for what it was not, a righteousness for God. This is important to see. And that concludes that section. Now we move on to section verses 8 or 6 through 8. David, verse 6. Even as David also describeth the blessedness of the man unto whom God uh, imputeth righteousness without works. David lived under the law. Believe. Abraham did not because no law had been given during his lifetime. The Mosaic system didn't come along until 400 years later. However, although David lived under the law, David could never be saved under the law, and therefore David described the blessedness that God reckons righteousness without works, because David had no works. The works that he had were evil, and therefore righteousness must be totally apart and separated from works. Righteousness must come on an entirely different principle. Verse 7 saying, Blessed are they whose iniquities are forgiven, and those sins are covered. This is a direct quote from Psalms 32, verse 1 and 2. And this is one of the great penitential Psalms of David. Psalms 51 is another. These verses are the outcome of David's great sin and his confession and acceptance, which follows. Blessed are they whose iniquities are forgiven. Are you one of the blessed ones today? Well, I'm glad to be in that company, in that number. Blessed expresses, oh, that glorious, wonderful joy of sins forgiven. This is the greatest statement of all, and David knew this by experience. Iniquities is lawlessness. David deliberately broke the law. He didn't do it ignorantly. He knew what he did, and he was forgiven. Are forgiven refers to to a definite and complete act of remission. A hard-boiled judge may, under certain circumstances, remit sins. But this speaks of the tenderness of God by taking the sinner into his arms of love and receiving him with affection. His sins are covered. How? Because Jesus Christ died and shed his blood, my friend. Verse 8, Blessed is the man to whom the Lord hath not imputed sin. In other words, joyful is the man whose sin the Lord will not put to his account. David was a great sinner, and God put away his sin, as Nathan informed him. Nathan said to David, The Lord also hath put away your sins. Thou shalt not die. 2 Samuel 12 and verse 13. Nevertheless, David was chastened. David set his own penalty when he responded to Nathan's account of the rich man. He took the poor man's lamb, and he shall restore the lamb fourfold. 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 6. 4 of David's children were killed. The child of Bathsheba, Amnon, his firstborn, Absalom, and Adonijah. Sorrow plagued David all the days of his life. David's guilt was not put on his account, although another bore it for him. Little wonder that he should say, Joyful is the man whose sin the Lord will in no wise put on his account. And that ends that section.